Hello everyone, my name is Jonah Bales, and my topic is the evolution of coaching styles and how it relates to anthropology. Coaching has been around for many years, and the styles of which people coach has changed. Here are a few examples of older coaching styles. Coaches believed in the punish first, converse later style, which means when something happens and goes wrong, they will scream and shout and punish the player, most of the time harshly. Coaches also created an atmosphere of fear of failure for the athlete. Players were always afraid that when they messed up, they'd be punished, so they played scared not to their full potential. Players would respect their coaches when they were being coached, but one thing, they were not anymore the players lost respect to the coach. So once the player was done being coached by by the coach, they lost respect for them because of how poorly they were treated. Um, players and assistant coaches Players and assistant coaches were afraid of the head coach and did not speak against the head coach. Players and coaches did not have a relationship off of the court or the field. So once they got off the court and the field, the players and coaches had nothing to do with each other besides being coach and player relationship. Coaches also had demeaning motivation, which means they said you sucked, and that's kind of like their way of saying you need to work better, work harder to improve. So instead of actually saying you need to work harder, they talked about how you suck, and that's going to want to motivate you. Um, And then now, and one of the weirdest things I've ever heard is they also did not allow water breaks during practice because they thought that players drinking water made them soft for the game. But it's actually been proven that to be incorrect. You actually do need water to practice in order to be successful. And the more successful you are in practice, the more successful you'll be in a game. Now that you know of the older methods, let's learn about some people who used them. The most famous example is Bobby Knight. He coached at the University of Indiana from 1971 to 2000. At the time of his retirement, he's the NCAA's all-time leader in wins. But now, a couple of years later, he's the third leading winner in NCAA history. He was a notorious yeller and screamer and had a very fiery personality. He wrote a book titled The Power of Negative Thinking. He was extremely difficult on his players and is a textbook example of a tough love. In 1985, he threw a chair across the court during a game because he disagreed with a call from a referee. And in 2000, he was fired for allegedly choking a player during practice. Even though he denies these allegations, all the videos and footage I have seen of this encounter with the player seems like he did choke the player out. So I personally believe he did it, and I don't agree with what he did. Another example of a not so successful and famous coach is the ex-Rutgers head coach, Coach Rice. He was fired for being mentally and physically abusive to his players. There is film of him throwing basketballs and punching or hitting players during practice. He was an extremely difficult coach and believed in the older techniques. Another more successful coach is Coach Bear Bryant from Alabama. An ex-player once said, "Today they might have to put Coach Bryant in jail for some of the things he put us through." That's former player Dennis Hoffman, who played for Coach Bear Bryant. He was extremely difficult and harsh on his players, but he's also very successful, winning many national titles in Alabama. Now that you know about more, now let's talk about some of the new coaching styles and how they work. Coaches will try to build a more positive relationship with players and assistant coaches. They try to make the players feel like family and feel like they are important to the coach in his life. They try to they listen to what the players have to say and implement those ideas in games and in practices. So if a player has a suggestion, they will listen and see if it's actually beneficial to the team and see if it could actually work, and maybe they'll actually apply it to some practices and games. They appreciate the players and the community for all they do for their program. They try to lead by example and do the right thing. They try to make the players not just better athletes, but better people, and try to be more involved in their life. They also create a caring environment for the athletes, and they actually try to care and make the players better people as well. Now, some people wonder if coaches can use these new coaching styles and still be effective. Coaching is a very difficult profession. Coaches want to win, but they must please the players, parents, and administration. They must be strict and firm, but not too aggressive and abusive like Coach Rice. They must walk a very fine line every day. So the question is, can coaches still coach effectively today? And I believe the answer is yes. Soft coaching, soft in quotation marks, of course, means the players respect and play better for someone they care about. They give better effort in games and in practices. All coaches need to do is use newer coaching styles and also make players not worry so much about games and tell them to work hard and the results they want will come. So if you're more open and accepting towards your players and not so aggressive and demanding of them, they're going to want to work harder for you, and that in turn will lead to more success for you and for the program and for the players. Players and coaches will have relationships off the court and off the field. Players will want to spend time with the coach and talk to them and ask if they have problems. They want to go and reach out to the coach. Assistant coaches will like the head coach more, and then everyone will just be happier in how everything is turning out. That the coaches will care for the well-being of the athlete and be more respectful, and they will try just as hard as the players are trying, which will in turn make the coaching better. So I actually do believe that soft coaching will work in today's society. Now I'm going to talk about how the evolution of coaching styles and how coaching being today applies to anthropology. Anthropology is the study of cultures and society. Mostly people in cultures and societies. And in today's culture, it's a lot more different than the years past. People are now a lot softer than they used to be. They care more about people's feelings. They care more about how people feel about stuff. So some of the methods that coaches used to use in the back in the day, like the screaming and yelling at players as loud as they can, demeaning them, does not fly in today's society. And parents, administration are not more accepting of it. So more and more coaches are losing their job because of this. So I believe that coaching styles need to be different than they were back in the day as well. People are not as accepting or harshness and toughness as they used to be, and we believe in making everyone happy and participation. Back in the day, there were no participation trophies. There were no golden stickers if you just went out for a sport. They demanded you to be successful and try your best to have the success and be rewarded for that. So those days are past, coaching styles need to change in order to fulfill the needs of today's society. With some proven success in these former new coaching styles, I believe that more coaches will start to adapt these coaching styles and will actually try to implement them in their practices. Maybe with a mixture of the old coaching styles just for the firmness and toughness, but for the most part, they will try their hardest to implement the new coaching styles. In conclusion of my presentation, I think some old coaching styles, like the toughness and firmness and demanding respect, will mix with some of the new coaching styles, like building relationships with players, making them feel more like a family, making them feel like they're playing for themselves and not just for you. Those two, a combination, old and new, combination of coaching styles combined together, I believe will make a very beneficial and impactful legacy in the coaching community. Coaches need to learn to balance them and how to use them effectively. And I believe that this topic of coaching evolution styles applies to anthropology because of how it involves cultures and societies changing, and how with the cultures and societies changing, coaching styles need to change as well. So when the culture and societies are changing, coaching styles need to change as well to stay with the time and make everyone happy as possible, which is what anthropology is all about, to change the culture and society of people and how people live in their daily lives. Now here's a list of some of the resources that I used for my presentation. My first one is why soft coaching is better, and that is where I got some of like those soft coaching techniques. I did coaching abuse or tough love, walking a fine line. I talked about why football matters, my education in the game. That is actually a book I read for a different class, and I actually kept that book this semester so I could read more about it, and it actually really helped me on this presentation. Coaching sure has changed since 1993. Coaching styles change as society times change, which applies to anthropology. A negative message, don't just hope, work, and that's about Bobby Knight. Are coaches still allowed to coach? And then United States Sports Academy, American Sports University. Thank you for listening to my presentation. My name is Jonah Bales. And my presentation was The Evolution of Coaching Styles in Today's Society. Thank you.